Welcome into a very special black and gold edition of the BCP. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live for the first time in a very, very long time. Very excited to talk. Well, I don't know if excited is the word right now, but very, interested to talk about the future of one of our favorites, the NXT brand, the black and gold brand, with, of course, our all-star stellar panelists. Please welcome back into the show. You know her from a million things, including Kimmy Talks Wrestling, RDP Promotions, the No Holds Barred Network. I could go on and on. Maria Kanellis' hand-picked prodigy. Of course, please welcome in Kimmy So Cool, the goodest sister. What up, Kimmy?
That is me. Hello. We are up late night for an amazing panel. So excited. I mean, I don't know why Mike's here. Like, he's just like there in the corner. But I'm really excited. Let's talk some NXT.
Let's do it, guys. And thank you guys so much for making time. And please welcome back to the show. Kimmy pretty much introduced him. You know him from the Closet Champion podcast. You know him as the Mr. Perfect of our show through two panels. He's been 10-1, but let's be real, Po Buddy's perfect. Please welcome back to the show, Mr. Mike Mueller. Mike, welcome back, bro. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. And you're right. Nobody is perfect, but even if you're not perfect, like Lenny Poffo, you can still be a genius. And I am the genius of this podcast. So it's so great to be back. Thank you so much for having me again, Bob.
Ooh.
Wow. Ooh. The record speaks for itself. And he's doing great things.
I was undefeated for 3 months before he came along. Where was my praise?
Keep living in the past, Kimmy. Keep living in the past.
It's already starting. # fight forever. And please,
I'll see you at SummerSlam. Don't worry.
And please welcome back, Joe. I don't know if he's gonna pop in. Maybe not. He was here a few minutes ago, but please welcome back to the show. # Dad Instincts. # Lay Editor-in-Chief of the PopBreak.com. I know he's been waiting for this episode of the podcast, Mr. Bill Bodkin. Bill, welcome back, bro. How are you?
Hello, I'm the John Moxley of this podcast. So yes, I've been drinking. I'm around my dad. I'm tired. I hurt. Ready to talk about my family. Let's do this. And no, I'm not excited to talk about this because this is actually it's a bummer because it really is.
Yeah, it basically started out. Nunes and I were having a conversation.
The best smelling man alive, Chris Nunes.
That's the
Give him the right title.
It's true. I live with the man. He smells amazing, but I digress. But guys, as I'm sharing this to multiple groups, forgive me for looking at my phone. Guys, and chime in on the chat. Let us know what you think. Let's start right here. You know, NXT, and you know there were a lot of recent releases during SmackDown last week, which is a whole nother story. There's a lot of kind of interesting. Again, I'm going to be using the word interesting a lot. Bookings on some of the red and blue brands as well involving NXT. We'll talk about that.
By interesting, do you mean shit? Because I believe that's the optimal word you're looking for.
I'm a babyface, Bill. But we'll let you get into it. But we'll say this. We'll start here. Very sad to hear about the releases. There's been a lot of public statements and reports about rebranding the black and gold brand, rebranding NXT, where they're going to go, maybe more of the land of giants like back in the day. In my mind, and again, like I try to call it right down the middle with every brand. I'm not trying to knock thing. Some weeks the red brand is better. Well, not lately. Some weeks the black and yellow brand is better. Have you been watching
in 2021?
I cracked
or 2020.
But
or most of 2019.
The point being is that I try to call it right down the middle. And, we're not here to just break everyone down and knock some of us aren't. We want to be fair. And there's just been some amazing talent that were released. I think NXT has had some just amazing long-term story building that we have not seen on the other brands. I remember an interview coming out from someone just released saying how it was bipolar, like some of the booking or short-term. And I think, NXT, take it back to Gargano and Ciampa having one of the best feuds in recent memory, even with the injuries coming into play, just that whole full circle thing. I could go on and on. NXT has arguably brought out some of the best talent that you see on TV these days. The 4 horsewomen. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but let's start with this, guys.
It's not really NXT. Let's
well,
be real.
That's going to be an important part of this conversation.
Yeah, so. and I know where Kimmy is going to go, but I think Mike and I might be on the same path on that one. But
where does Kimmy always go?
Well, let's start with this, guys. There's so much to say. I can tell like we're all ready to talk about this. NXT here in the Nay Bros house, as we call it over here. That's the show we always make time for to watch. Nunes doesn't always watch Raw. I don't always watch Raw. SmackDown I try to catch when I can. But I think a lot of these statements that have been coming out, a lot of it's been damage control. It's like controlling the narrative after the fact, which we see with certain companies at the time, and it's good business or whatever sometimes. But the statement that we're seeing right now is we're not looking for guys over 30, and we're not looking for short people. I'm using a different term than they used. And going back to like traditional kind of wrestlers, and that has never been NXT's MO that I've known. So I think saying we're rebranding is a nice way of controlling the narrative of the releases and all this stuff that's happened and ignoring some of the great stuff that NXT has done. So it's a little nerve wracking. It's a little confusing. And, obviously the pandemic didn't help anyone. But it's a lot to navigate right now. So let's start with that. Just that statement, not looking for people over 30, no one that's short in stature. I don't think that's the best way to handle that situation. I mean, Bill, let's throw it to you first, man, because I know you have a lot of thoughts on what's going down with NXT and where it kind of ends up in this landscape of WWE.
So the statement that you're referring to is a report given over the weekend by Dave Meltzer. Seems like he had grabbed something that someone had sent to him. So I am going to say that I can acknowledge why WWE has this mission statement. I don't agree with it, because if we look at NXT over the last 5 to 7 years, the modern classics of WWE in the ring, the people literally vote on WWE.com, are all from NXT for the most part. The main roster has the traditional moments that WWE wants, but the matches all come from NXT. However, if you look at the lineage of NXT, and I'm going to exclude Seth Rollins from this conversation, Kimmy, and I'll tell you why, because he was really an FCW. That's where he started. Then he became the NXT champion. Then he pretty much was almost on the main roster shortly after becoming NXT champion. If you look at the lineage of NXT, this has to only do with the men, in my opinion. And from what they've said, is because look at how many champions they've had. Look at how many top guys they've had. Who has gone on to become a champion in WWE or a perennial main eventer? Very few and far between. Now, Finn Balor is unfortunate because it looked like he was primed for that. But due to an injury in a match with Seth Rollins, unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I'm not blaming Seth Rollins for the injury, but things happen in matches. Sure. It's really just like Kevin Owens. He got the world title run and then has been a top upper mid-card guy. Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, guys like that. Everyone else has kind of plateaued in the middle. You look at Drew McIntyre is a guy. I don't really consider him an NXT guy because he was in WWE first. He was in their developmental, came in, had a cup of coffee, and then got injured, and then went to the main roster. They just kind of plateau with the men, and none of them have gone there. So if you're WWE and you're looking at this, so I'm looking at through their eyes, is they lost the Wednesday Night War. WWE weaponized them to go against AEW to kill AEW. It didn't happen. So they move NXT back to Tuesdays, thinking, all right, well, they'll regain their viewership. They didn't regain a ton of viewership. We've seen AEW, and this is not pro AEW statements for me. This is literally, you could see facts.
Statistics.
Their audience has grown a lot, whereas NXT has been stagnant. So if you're cutting budgets like they say, you're like, well, they really haven't done anything to give us main eventers. They lost to the competition. They embarrassed us, probably, is what they're thinking. We're going to go back to what made us main event stars, and that's the OVW system. Jim Ross just talked about this on his podcast last week. He had the one recruiting class of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and Batista. You have two guys who are in movies right now that were main eventers. You have one guy who was a crossover star in MMA, and Randy Orton has been a staple in the main event. I'm not even going to say negative about him. He's been a main event staple since he's come up. What guy from NXT has, in their mind, has done that? Of course, it's positioning and it's creative, and they have screwed up a lot. We've seen with Keith Lee and Karrion Kross, and gosh, you could name a million people that they've not done well with within NXT that they brought up. Ricochet, Aleister Black, Andrade, many more. But in their mind, they didn't screw up. NXT screwed up. The wrestlers screwed up. So let's go back and get these, meat castles, and we'll shape them into what we want to be, and we'll make our characters and we'll make our stars. And that's why they want to do that. And they'll sign the top guy. They'll still sign an OVW. They'll still sign the CM Punk. They'll still sign the Daniel Bryan, because they're a top undeniable. They'll still sign the Seth Rollins, the undeniable stars on the independents, but they want the guys they can mold. That's what they want. That's why they're doing this, I think. And it's also a lot cheaper to do it than giving a lot of money to these indie guys who do really well. Remember, TakeOver Brooklyn, Busted Open said this morning, they sold out the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of always chafed the WWE, that NXT was always better.
I hate that, because it's like, in my mind, it's like, you're all under the same umbrella. Like, you should embrace this. Everybody wins, but it's almost like you said, it's like people are being punished or something failed or something like that. Like, if you put people over, you're going to sell merch, like we have the 3 brands. Like,
imagine that.
It's just like, build the bridges.
Here's
you're not competing against yourself.
Here's the perfect example. Everrise, who just got fired. They were moving freaking coffee cups for WWE. They were selling the mugs, were doing well, and you fired them. Why would you sell someone who's even selling a little bit of merch for you? The Fiend. Why would you get rid of that guy?
That's a whole nother
NXT original.
Oh man. Another conversation. Looking at the chat right now, Reese saying Bill is hitting this out of the park so far. I agree. At Bodkin writes on Twitter, Bill has a new friend, I think. John Perry, if I was Vince, I would bring back the Iconics. I don't disagree there. The Iconics are fantastic. I'd like to see them maybe in AEW. John Perry, I'm a big fan. Kimmy. All right. I'm a big fan of Eli Drake. He's been doing some great stuff with the $1 Million Belt as well. Kimmy, let's start with you. Your thoughts.
Was that Matt Wittes? Was that Matt Wittes saying
Eli Drake? That was John Perry. And thank you guys for joining the chat. Please share the stream. Kimmy, what do you got? What are your thoughts on the future of NXT?
So I'm in a little bit of an interesting position, because if you've seen my whole summer, I've worked with a lot of wrestlers, and some of them have been recent releases.
So we're getting some exclusives here, Kimmy. Yeah, I mean,
I really thought Bill was like, "Yeah, we don't care about that."
No, I was cleaning my lens. I'm sorry. It was like,
it did look like you were giving her the hands.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
it's just Kimmy, who's friends with every wrestler. All the wrestlers are putting over Kimmy, by the way, if you watch the signings. But go ahead, Kimmy. I'm sorry.
So, of course, me being me, you ask the exclusives. So it's interesting, because I remember, like, Brandy Lauren, for example, she was literally signed for 8 months. And
was that long?
She was only, there she is. Kyle's woman crush every day over there. So she had told me, like, what's the point of signing me if you weren't going to use me? Because the only time she was ever used, she was used in 2 matches. And then when Damian Priest won North American title in, like, the hot tub, that's the only time she was used. So why sign me? She literally moved into her new apartment. Shotzi moved her in 10 days before they released her. So if you're going to sign all of these people and not use them, there's where you're wasting your money, first of all. And then the other thing too, if you saw like recent classes of the PC, like the Brandy Lauren class was literally the picture floating around. Only 2 people are still within the company.
Yeah, it's Gacy and the former Bravado, Andre Chase.
Yeah. So that's literally 6 to 7 people you released for only having them for 8 months. What did they learn? What did they get from that? They got nothing. So it's a waste of money, first of all. And it's a waste to sign these people where you could be kind of more developing the stars that you have. Because that's the problem too. And like Bill and I have talked about like the other problems in NXT. Who the hell is a face and a heel? You're not developing your own TV show.
Yeah,
I don't know who's who.
Yeah.
So that's the other issue. But you can go.
No, I was just going to say, very well said, Kimmy. You're getting some love in the chat as well. Kimmy and Rob Williams hitting it out of the park. I think it's mostly Kimmy. That's who everyone's here for. Let's be real. Welcome in Everything Pro Wrestling Podcast. Conrad, welcome. Thanks for joining the chat. Mike, your thoughts on the overall future?
Conrad Thompson's here. That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. All the way from Huntsville.
He knows.
Well, unfortunately, Bill kind of bulldozed all my fantastic notes and hot takes that I thought that I had.
Man.
I'm echoing a lot of what he had to say, first and foremost, because, it seems like the talent that got brought up besides the big guys, I mean, who's been a successful smaller person to come from NXT? I'm not counting Daniel Bryan or anybody from that game show era of NXT, which was great, but it was its own weird, horrible, in a beautiful way sort of thing. If we're looking at like to me, NXT really started when they had the championship tournament. That Kimmy, who won that? I'm not sure. It was Seth Rollins. Okay, I wasn't sure for a second. But since that point, if you really look, is Sami Zayn the most successful small guy? If you look at anybody that's done anything in WWE, who they've really pushed and given real momentum, it's the bigger people. It is the Baron Corbins. It is Kevin Owens to an extent. Big E was an NXT champion. He's now a Money in the Bank guy. The smaller guys, once they get called up to that main roster, it seems like WWE doesn't really know what to do with them. And I think all of this really comes down to the budget, which, like they said, and as far as the under 30 and no shorter people in that they're really looking to develop, I think a big part of that was a lot of these people all got signed at the same time, and they all got brought into WWE at the same time when WWE wasn't sure what they were going to do against AEW, and they weren't sure how big of a real threat AEW was to them. So it's sort of like, we have the capital, let's snatch up all this talent so AEW can't get them. I think that was part of their reasoning. They have the money to burn, and sometimes it's like, it just, as long as you don't have it, I'm okay. And that's a crappy way to think for the talent involved, but I think that's a big part of this. Now that they know what AEW is and who AEW really appeals to, they're adjusting their own outlook on how do we go forward with talent. They don't do small talent well, period. NXT was the only thing that did small talent well, and AEW kicks their butt in that regard. So to me, I'm looking at this as, if I'm from creative and we're taking NXT in a new direction, which we can argue the merits of that, but it's happening, okay? There's a new direction going to NXT. Who are we not turning into superstars? Whether it's our fault, their fault, doesn't matter. Who is not getting over the way we want them to get over? The smaller people. So we're going to not take as much focus on those smaller people. We're instead going to direct that to, like what Bill said, those big guys that we can mold into the way that we want. And coming back to the budgets, we don't have to pay them that sort of money. We spent this money to keep them from AEW, to keep them from the other talent that was emerging during this time. Now that we know what we have that works, now that we know what they have that works, to me, it's sort of like, in their mind, they're losing the battle to win the war. We're not doing as well with the small indie type guys. We thought we could take that over too, and turns out we can't. Someone else is doing it better. So instead of beating your head against the wall, sometimes you punt. And that's what I'm interpreting this as. They're punting on this experiment that they had. Again, who's to blame is, you can make your own statement on that. But I think they're realizing what and just like in Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins goes down. But that
wasn't nice.
What happened to Seth?
I don't know.
He got burnt down. Don't worry about it.
He burned it down.
Great points. Really, really well said, Mike. That's why you're here, man. Great job. And thank you all for making like last minute plans to make this happen. Just reading the comments, truthfully, WWE screwed themselves by trying to recreate some of the people who are over. That was before AEW was even created. Sure, putting a hat on a hat, like we've heard Moxley say a few times, getting their hands in it. Perfect example. Again, I'm not trying to crush anyone here, but Ricochet is amazing. He's amazing, right? He comes out, his song's amazing. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this, Bill. And then before his song, pew pew. Like, why did you have to? Like, it's such a little thing, but it's like, why?
With the Aleister Black, it's like,
like,
but
why?
here's the other thing that kind of like with NXT, the early days as opposed to NXT, the latter days of this run, is they actually had this nice blend of creating stars that weren't ready-made indie names. Like, look at the Revival. Like Dash and Dawson were they were independent wrestlers, but no one really knew them. They were from the Carolinas. So they put them together after, I mean, Scott Dawson was with, or Dax Harwood was with a bunch of other partners, you know, he never, and then they finally made that work. Same with American Alpha. Like Jason Jordan was just like a job guy, you know, he wasn't doing anything. Then they found Chad Gable, put him together. They made something of that. And that's what they lost.
Yeah.
It's just like they lost the thread. They just started signing all these guys because they're like, oh, well, no one else is going to sign these talents before AEW is even a thing. So we'll just keep signing this hot talent. And instead of making developmental, we'll make it a third brand where we can make more money. And then it was like, oh, but we can't, oh, but it's still developmental, but it's not, it is, it's not. They kept walking that line. They never definitively said it's the third brand. And so they would call, no, and they would do the call-ups, and then it just became the arms race with AEW. So they're like, we have to hot shot everything. We don't have time to create talent. Let's just have these, and they would waste moments. Like we were so conditioned as NXT fans that title changes happened at TakeOver. And then I never forget what I always think is the Goldberg Hogan moment for them. If people don't know what I'm referencing, during the height of the Monday Night Wars, they were in the Georgia Dome and they hot-shotted Hogan and Goldberg won, and they won that week. Nitro beat Raw, and that was the last time it beat Raw. But instead, and that same thing happened. They were pushing Rhea and Shayna Baszler, and they pushed it, and then they won that week. That was the infamous AEW episode where the Dark Order guy was air punching Dustin Rhodes in the face. The one of the worst dynamites of all time. And they won that week, but they didn't really win.
At what cost?
Yeah, exactly. they burned takeovers. And Rob, you even said like that they kept telegraphing all the opponents coming forward, and they really didn't do great with Rhea's run.
Yeah,
but you know, but conversely, NXT has been great with the women.
Oh yeah, I mean, 4 Horsewomen came straight out of NXT. You know, NXT deserves a lot of love because it has been, I think, of the 3 brands, even though it's not the official third brand, it has been consistently very, very good, even through the pandemic. Like, yeah, a lot of, you know, like Raw. Remember, we had Raw Underground, and I'm like, guys, we're not going to be talking about this a month from now. Like, they were seeing what stuck to the wall. That was the time to do it. Fine, but NXT has been. I know a lot of people that watch NXT exclusively and not the other brands, and I think it's because of the talent. Some of the storytelling, and it's because of Hunter and Sean kind of molding it in their image. And now that, you know, because you think Triple H fired these people? No, I'm sure
Nick Khan did. Are you all out of your mind?
Actually,
and Johnny Ace.
This round apparently was Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and Johnny Ace. No Nick Khan, no Triple H, no Shawn Michaels. Also, ironic they say no smaller people. Yet the most heralded dude in the history of WWE, Shawn Michaels, is like, he's like one of the heads of NXT. We don't want to push small guys, but we had Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right. I just want to get to the comments real quick, and very well said, guys. Camp who I rolled with too, IWTV. Yeah, go save Rollins. He's had a rough one. He's gonna have a rough one at SummerSlam, I think.
I know.
We'll talk about that on the panel. Shameless promo. Shout to Camp. We went to IWTV 100. Just a great show. Everyone check out that match with Orange Cassidy, Chris, Trish Adora, and Lee Moriarty. I mean, what a
Trish Adora. She advanced in the Ring of Honor bracket this afternoon.
Doing your job, Kimmy. Love Trish, and that's good to hear. I got to speak with her yesterday. Very sweetheart. Yeah, really, really amazing. He was such a great talent, show stealer. Reading the comments, people saying hello from Twitch. Guys, welcome in. Mikey Jr., one step ahead of me, man. I was actually gonna go to this next. Thoughts on where Adam Cole goes? I know there's been some reports. I don't think anything's been confirmed, but I've seen a lot of similar reports. Yeah, so let's go with that. Let's talk about Adam Cole. Obviously there are the reports that he's getting $1 million a year as opposed to $100,000 a year. I mean, money talks, let's be real. In my mind, long story short, and then I'll throw it to you, good sister. I think if you're Adam Cole right now, you don't want to go to Raw. You don't want to go to SmackDown. I think he's not avoided that, but I think he's made it known he wanted to stay in NXT during his contracted time there. But if you stay in NXT, I don't think you're fighting for a title. You're essentially putting guys over, like the Kyle O'Reilly, who's been great, but I think they're still trying to figure out like who Kyle O'Reilly is and what his persona is. Like he came out like Orange Cassidy a couple weeks. That was kind of weird. But again, that would be Adam Cole's role, maybe a title feud here and there. But the exciting part to me, if I'm Adam Cole, Gurley's over at AEW. I can reunite BC Bullet Club, endless possibilities. People I fought on the indies, people I want to fight. This is new. This is exciting. I can do whatever I want. I'm a free agent if the money's right, all that kind of stuff. The thing that I'm hearing now, though, is obviously that he has re-signed with $1 million a year. I mean, it's hard to say no to that. So if that is true, I could see that working out. But in my mind, I thought, and maybe it was just fan booking or being exciting, but I thought for sure he would be going to AEW, and I don't think those reports have been confirmed that he did sign that contract, but I've seen a lot of reports. I don't know what the source is. So, Kimmy, we'll throw it to you. Your thoughts on the future of Adam Cole.
Baby.
Thank you.
So Adam Cole is in a very interesting position, right? Because I feel over the past 3 or 4 years, they've basically booked NXT around Adam. Like when you 4 years, you think of Adam Cole, but let's fire Bobby Fish when we're trying to rehire Adam Cole. That's a great decision, WWE. You guys are on the market. But Bill mentioned this, like, to you and me, Rob, that AEW cannot talk to Adam Cole until his extension's over. So there's been no conversation between AEW and Adam Cole, unless Tony was just being a friend because, you know, the role models over there in AEW. But to me, I think Hunter would have a whole heart attack if Adam goes to AEW. I think Hunter would literally cry so bad.
Hunter's on his way to AEW. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that too. I was dying. I saw that at work. So, but me selfishly, I want Adam to go to AEW. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I want my BTE skits back. I want him to be with the Super Elite. I want him to be with Britt. I want his old theme song back. But I just think for once Vince is gonna get his way. I think he resigns, and then I think NXT TakeOver is gonna be like his last thing that he does, and then he's gonna go up to the main roster. But I don't think it's for $1 million. There's no way in hell that's true. But I think within the clause, like kind of how Brian, like I'm not saying like this is gonna happen, but if I were Vince, this is what I would do. Like how Brian kind of had like creative control in like his last run with WWE. I would do that for Adam. Like not complete creative control, but just like a tad bit of creative control. Because then you bring up the point of how Adam can't stay in NXT forever. That's why Ciampa obviously cannot go to the main roster because of all the injuries he's had. But Ciampa, there's nothing left for him to do. Which is why it sucks for Ciampa. He's stuck there. And this, like, is Gargano ever going to go to the main roster either? Is he another person that's going to be stuck there? Is Candice ever going to get her due in NXT either? Like, I have so many questions.
Very well said, good sister. And just going back to the chat before we throw it over to Mueller, Mikey Jr. weighing in says if he does resign, they should make it as an angle. That would be smart. I like it when they do stuff like that. It's something a little bit different, but they'll stay away from that probably. Michael Camp saying that he will be at All Out, referring to Adam Cole. Baby, we'll see about that. Camp saying he has no 90 or 30-day clause. He can go right to AEW. Maybe it's fan booking, man. We'll see. I don't know what the official things going on behind closed doors are. We will certainly find out. Reese weighing in, if Cole leaves NXT, I say go somewhere unexpected. If he goes to the NWA, he could really shake things up. Sure, that'd be great for the brand. Very interesting. Mueller, your thoughts, my friend. Or Mr. Perfect, I should say, on Adam
Mr.
Cole's
Perfect.
future.
I like Mr. Perfect. Let's stick with that, especially because it drives Kimmy nuts. The first thing I got to say is, AEW is not talking to Adam Cole in the same way that Diamond Dallas Page wasn't talking to Scott Hall before his contract was up. Somebody's talking. You are out of your mind.
That's a very good deep cut. For
Bill popped for that. I saw Bill pop.
Just like, listen, man.
Someone's talking to Adam
It's all
Cole.
the Diamond Mine, dude. It's all the Diamond.
It's the Diamond.
It's before this bullshit with Roderick Strong. That's the real Diamond Mine.
The real Diamond Mine. See, there you go. But someone's talking to Adam Cole. I think the bigger issue, and I talked about it on my latest podcast episode. Check that out.
Shameless
at
promo.
Closet Champ, Facebook and Twitter at Closet Champ. What we're having right now with AEW is an embarrassment of riches, and they are swallowing up everybody. The WWE cast-offs, the new hot indie talent, everyone wants to go to NXT. That's great. There's only so many titles and there's only so many main events that you can have. And I think we're getting to a point when you have Andrade and you have Malachi Black and you got all these other people that are coming over at the same time. People are going to get lost in the shuffle. And I think that this is my conspiracy. I'm not big on conspiracy theories. I think the internet wrestling community goes a little too hard with conspiracy theories.
That's fair.
But here's mine. I think that this is along with changing the direction of NXT, this is a very obvious, in my opinion, attempt to flood the market. And what you're doing is what you know is AEW invests in talent. Every company invests in certain things, whether it's the right move for them or not, who's to say, but AEW invests in talent and they want to sign up all that talent. Well, what you're going to end up with is a lot of really good talent fighting for a few spots. And what's going to happen when that really good talent that's not being recognized because all these WWE cast-offs are coming over to AEW? What happened to WCW in the late 90s? People like Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit and The Big Show all went over to where they thought they could be a main event star. I think that a large part of this is done deliberately in the hopes that AEW is going to be so chock full of really good talent and they're not going to be able to put them to a certain spot. And there's going to be a lot of resentment and people are going to be coming from AEW to WWE. That will be happening. It's a matter of when, not a matter of if. Now let's talk about Adam Cole. Where does that Bebe? Sorry, almost missed that one. Where does Adam Cole Bebe fit into all of this? Well, he's one of those guys that's going to get lost in the shuffle because along with all the WWE talent that's coming over, you've got people like Adam Page, you've got people like Jungle Boy, you've got people like Darby Allin, you've got homegrown talent that's actually succeeding and needs to be elevated to that top tier when people like Jericho, Moxley, Omega, etc., sort of fall from that stage. I think the best thing that Adam Cole could do for Adam Cole is exactly what he's going to do. And that's take the money, shut his mouth, and do his job. And that's not a bad thing. I think you got to look out for number one. I also think that he will be going to the main roster because when people like Ciampa and Gargano and Cole said, I want to stay in NXT and I'm NXT for life. What was going on in NXT when they were saying that? It was the under 30 smaller guy crowd. And they were sort of, the roosters of the it's
cock of the walk.
Cock of the walk. Thank you. This is the first glass of water I'm having today. You can guess what I had before that. So my metaphors are a little shaky. Thank you, Bill. But yes, they wanted to stay in NXT when NXT was being shaped around guys like them. NXT is no longer being shaped around guys like them. Have we seen WWE screw it up in the past when they bring that type of talent up to the top? Yeah. But at this point, give me my money, put me on the main roster. I have to do, at this point, more dates because they're on the road, but I'm going to make my money while I can. And I'm going to get at least an opportunity at the big show. I think if people like Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, all those guys, if everyone goes to AEW, someone's going to be left out. And it's going to be possibly you, and you're going to be really regretting taking a fifth of the money that you could have made sitting and catering in WWE. I know it sucks, but if I'm sitting in the back and if I'm not in important storylines, I'd rather my bank account grow. And I don't mean to be Mr. Cynical, but I think if I'm Adam Cole and I've already seen all these other people get a jump on me, get a jump on me to that spot, I'm happy where I am. And if you want to give me $1 million a year to lose to, I was going to say Braun Strowman, but he's not there. If you're going to give me $1 million, I hope so. If you're going to give me $1 million a year to lose, I'd rather take that than $200,000 a year to lose. That's where I'm at.
There you go. And before we throw it over to Bill, I'll welcome in the shining star, the international shining star, Mr. Ray Kalitri in the chat. Guys, support him. He's doing great things on the Indies. Welcome in.
Welcome, Ray.
He actually lost his match because a young fan came in and did the 3 count for the referee. So there's a lot of controversy going over on at Titan Championship Wrestling. Shameless promo. We have Funhouse of Wrestling coming up in Bayville, New Jersey. Tickets are still available August 14th. Shameless promo. Everyone follow Mr. Ray Kalitri. He's doing great things all over the world. Puerto Rico, Mexico, winning titles everywhere he goes, driving that Maserati everywhere. That is my hero right there. And he almost smells as good, or he smells better than Nunes. I've already said that.
You said that.
I know.
I guess who's looking for a new roommate now?
That's Wouldn't be the first time. Bill, let's throw it to you, man.
You need to stop making those jokes. Your expiration date's running out on that, pal.
I milked that one.
So I have so many things. First off, let me talk about my love for Adam Cole. Adam Cole's an expert Flair. I've said this for the last 10 years. Adam Cole has every opportunity to be that type of wrestler. He has the opportunity to be a franchise player, in my opinion. I've watched him in Ring of Honor, PWG, CZW, you name it. I've seen him in it. He's great. Do I think he re-signs with WWE? Probably yes, because he's a big Shawn Michaels fan. He's friends with Shawn Michaels. He's friends with Triple H. Apparently, they had writers writing storylines for Adam Cole as he was at this meeting. However, there are certain things where money isn't everything. Because when you're Adam Cole and you're on Twitch, and let's see how long that lasts for him, and you find out one of your closest friends gets fired on the air. What about your buddy Bobby Fish gets fired? While you're in a meeting about staying there. I see, but I could, like I said, I could see him stand there. I look at AEW and as a diehard AEW guy. Here's the thing about that. I've thought it long and hard about this because I am a huge Adam Cole fan. Is where does Adam Cole fit, baby, in AEW? AEW has not fully really put into play the practice that they had talked about from the beginning, just due to the pandemic. And that was, we are going to cycle guys in and out. So we have guys who are going to be off. Kenny Omega, as much as I love Kenny Omega, when he loses that belt, needs to take time off. You just hear how injured that guy is. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, if they sign there, are not going to be there every week. Adam Cole, Cody Rhodes has also said, I'm not going to be there every week. I'm going to retire when I'm 40. The Elite is not going to hang around longer than we need it. Now, we've heard that before. We've seen over the past 2 years, especially during the pandemic, AEW's rotation of main event talent is staggering. How many people have been in the main event, and they're not all the same people. It's not Omega and the Bucks. It's not the Elite in every week. Cody has barely main evented a Dynamite, but you keep seeing them cycle in and out. Darby Allin, as much as we love Darby Allin, that dude needs time off because he's super young, but has a crazy Sabu-like style, and you need to keep him special. So I think Adam Cole could definitely fit in AEW. Does Adam Cole need to debut in Pittsburgh this week? That'd be pretty rad, but I don't think it's going to happen. Adam Cole could debut in December, or he can debut in November. He could debut whenever he wants, in my opinion. Give him time off. Allow him to do his other stuff. And if you figure out a way to cycle guys in and out to keep people fresh, especially while you're touring, you're also going to a brand that is selling more seats at a higher pace than NXT and is matching WWE right now. So AEW is red hot. So if they actually can cycle people in and out, and also the Forbidden Door is wide open. Who says Adam Cole cannot go to New Japan and wrestle in the G1? Who says Adam Cole can't go to Ring of Honor or to, even though they're not working together, who says he can't go there? Who says he can't go to the NWA? Who says he can't go to Impact? Who says he can't go to AAA? Who says he can't just work PWG if he wants to? Right now, the schedule for AEW is a hell of a lot easier on the body than WWE. If you're working Raw, you're also working all those weekend dates. You have your friends there. You can be creative. You can do your Twitch. You can do all the stuff you want. So AEW, despite having a lot of talent there, and I think they will be losing talent soon because there's some contracts coming up. I think Jericho is going to cycle out soon. I think you're going to see him as an attraction. His contract's up. And I think this Labors of Jericho is going to be his swan song, not his retirement song, but his final run as a top main event full-time guy. So I think you're going to see, I think you have room for an Adam Cole in AEW. But ultimately, I think the childhood dream of wanting to be in the WWE, the lore of Triple H and Shawn Michaels in his ear, having writers write for you and a boatload of cash, Adam Cole will stay in WWE and will probably be the sole reason I am watching WWE at this point.
Wow.
That's scary. We're all on the same page with this. I thought we were all going to
which
disagree.
means he's going to AEW.
It is scary. Camp being very insistent that he will be elite. We'll find out one way or another, guys.
I just don't see it.
Man, I want to. I would like to see it though. Billy in the chat saying, "Bill, you look a lot like Kevin Nash." Okay, cool, very cool.
I have met Kevin Nash in person, and he is a monster. He is so tall.
That's awesome. But dude, that's amazing. I like that one, guys. And thanks for
just
chiming in.
Just give me a bowl of ravioli next. I'll be
Oh, there it is. And guys, last one from me. I just want to say this. I know I phrased this a little differently at the beginning. Like, oh, what do you guys see being the future of NXT? But like, quite literally, what do you guys see in being the future? Like, how are they going to handle this? Because like we were saying, it was almost kind of petty how they were, handling NXT. We saw that. Lost that Karrion Kross.
You could say it's Killer Kross. It's fine.
To Jeff Hardy.
Wait. Hold on. Time out. Can we talk about how you thought that was the best thing that happened?
I wanted to come through my computer. You kept insisting. You're like, this is outside the box. Brilliant booking. And I'm just saying, I'm like, the guy is an undefeated champion. He loses by a roll up where Jeff Hardy, who lost to Jinder Mahal's Goon Squad, is on the ropes. It's the dumbest, stupidest ass booking ever, Rob. I don't get how you're an intelligent person. I don't understand how you think that's smart. I
think you're intelligent too, Bill. That's what I got from that. No, seriously though. Yeah, and I was gonna go down that route. So we saw the booking of obviously Karrion Kross coming out without Scarlett, which is a whole nother conversation. I thought for sure Vince would be all about Scarlett. Maybe they're doing something different. That's a whole nother conversation. Then Jeff Hardy, multiple-time world champion, multiple-time Grand Slam champion, doing the juke over here. He's been putting people over here or there, but he's a top guy. And he beats Karrion. He surprises everyone. He puts his foot on the ropes. I'm not about the cheating or whatever. But I thought in that moment, I was on the other side of it of like, hey, we didn't expect this because Karrion was getting that straight up Brock Lesnar booking where he didn't lose except in a tag match with Finn, if I'm correct. That was his only loss. I thought they were going to run the Brock Lesnar powerbomb Jeff, or Saida suplex, whatever his thing was, cross jacket, whatever, squash match. They didn't go that route. And I'm like, hey, I didn't expect that. That's different. Jeff came out, to his old song. Okay, we're going to make a feud out of this. We're going to make a storyline out of this. I like unexpected, and yes, it didn't totally make sense. That being said, you fast forward, you go to NXT that week. No one mentions it except Samoa Joe says, oh, you made a little trip to Raw. Other than that, no one talks about the NXT champion getting pinned or Hardy getting a title shot or anything like that.
But isn't that the problem, though?
That's where I'm going with it. Yep, that's exactly where I'm going.
Isn't that the biggest problem with this in the end? If you're in the same promotion? Because here, I'll even talk about Piper Niven, right?
Oh.
I don't, sorry.
Favorite.
Who?
Dewdrop? Dewdrop?
No.
That was
I don't know how much that hurts my soul.
She's amazing too.
That was so stupid because it's either her or Mercedes Martinez, who you released, which is another stupid thing that you did.
Makes no sense.
But whatever. So now, oh my God, she's debuting on Raw. Who is this? Who? Y'all work in the same damn company. You know damn well who that is. Don't try to fool it on us. We watch everything. We watch NXT UK. We watch NXT WWE. What the hell? Okay, I do.
But it's just a matter of like, it's the same mentality they've had for years where people would come in from WCW or ECW or hell, even guys coming in from New Japan or TNA, and they were like, who is this young competitor? Who is this? They were big in Japan. It's just like, they don't like history. It's just like, they're their own guys. They've done this since they started in the 80s when they were taking guys in. They're like, we're not going to acknowledge that they ever did anything else because mostly they repackaged a lot of those guys, but it's like, they didn't acknowledge them. Well, their history, they played it up when they went to the territories and did all that stuff, but it's the same mentality. I'm not a huge, I don't always agree with him, but Bully Ray on Busted Open, a great moment. He said like, hey, ECW was super cool. And Vince McMahon brought it back and he killed it because he was tired of hearing ECW chants. And he was tired of hearing NXT chants. And this was his opportunity to be like, well, they finally failed. So I'm gonna kill it.
NXT is such a gift though, because some of our favorite guys are there, and a lot of guys that he brought. Yes, a lot of guys have gotten completely squashed, but a lot of guys have like, especially the women we talked about, like have really just been there, like ready to go. Like, oh, we have this well that we can pull from and have this top tier talent. Are these guys that have like 5-star matches? I would love to see Gargano versus Seth. I would love to see Gargano versus well, I guess we've seen versus Finn versus AJ Styles. I know he wants that match, but for that to happen, he needs to be called up, or them need to come to NXT because he doesn't want to go anywhere. That's a whole nother story. Going back to the Jeff Hardy thing real quick, we fast forward a week, everyone ignores everything. Another week goes by, and then tonight on Monday Night Raw, they run it back, they address it. Little, again, I'm using this word a lot, damage control. I think that's what it was tonight. A little damage control. It was a long match. They gave it time. They didn't make Jeff look super weak. Cross got the revenge, and it was just like, what was the point? Nunes and I were talking about this, and I'm like, I hate to say it, man, but that loss on Cross, it was a shot, man. It was petty.
So you
game.
mean that
shot.
it's 50-50 booking, and we're going to see this again next week on Monday Night Rematches?
Yes.
Oh boy. I don't know. I'm honestly, like you guys said, I'm honestly scared for the future of NXT because they're making all these blanket statements like, oh, you can't be this, you can't be this. When there was so much opportunity, like I understand there's a pandemic and I understand you have to make business decisions, but I love seeing the opportunity. I love seeing guys, shameless promo that we've had on the show over the past few years, get signed, make it to TV. And that's why I love what AEW's doing, even if they just have them on dark and give them the photo shoots and, you know, put them on a flyer. Like that's amazing for them and they can put it on their resume. And I just love seeing the opportunity. And now there's all these lines in the sands. And it doesn't make sense to me when you have lines in the sand between Raw and NXT and SmackDown and NXT. It's like you have this you have this great talent. Triple H has done an amazing job with this thing. Like in a way, he almost couldn't have done better, but it didn't beat AEW. I think there's a lot of pettiness there. There's a lot of games that pin on Cross is just one example. You know, Dewdrop, you know, she was NXT UK, right, Piper? And she was in the Mae Young, of course. And she's always great. It's just things like that I don't love. And I'm not trying to knock anyone here. I'm just calling it like I see it. And I'm nervous for the future of NXT. It's almost like they're being punished in a way. It's very weird. And Bronson Reed, come on, how old is he, man? Super heavyweight. How old is he?
Super young.
He's in his early 30s.
Is he?
Oh, so I guess he didn't make the cut. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
well, I mean, I think what they're talking about is like you look at a guy like Damian Priest is almost 40. You know, that's like getting guys like that who are like Chris Hero is like in his middle 30s, like signing dudes like that who are in their mid 30s. You want to have it just think about it like in baseball. Like you want to get those dudes who are in their 20s and you can control the contract, or in the NFL draft, you want to control that contract for as long as you can. You get the best out of them. You don't have to pay them. They're not expecting more. You can mold them in your image. And that's what you want. And you can say, this is our system, learn our system.
Why did you bring Samoa Joe right away? It's so like I'm about it. Like thankfully they brought Joe back. I love what he's doing, but it's contradictory to like this blanket statement.
I think different contract.
Yeah, okay.
It's probably dates and how they planned on using him, what his current contract required. They didn't find it worthwhile for him to do. We don't know the details of his other contract. And I don't mean to step over you, Rob, but I also want to say this whole conversation is based around he said, she said. Nothing that we're talking about has been released by WWE. Dave Meltzer saying it, and that's Meltzer is a very solid source. But at the end of the day, I mean, Meltzer's gotten things wrong too. People that are saying this, I haven't seen anything that's been directly from WWE.
Well, they're not gonna come out and say that.
Yep.
Well, no, but we're all like, this whole conversation is based on speculation.
It is 100%.
Well, there's multiple other news sites that are reputable that have PW Insider and Fightful both have independently of him.
Okay.
Confirmed that there are going to be major changes.
Oh, I believe there's going to be major changes, but I think the blanket statements is what I'm not like so
damage control, man.
So there's always the exception to the rule. You're always, if you're going to find the guy like a Seth Rollins, if there was a guy who was as talented as him, because Kimmy, I'll put him over for you, he's right there. And he, you know, if he was at his age now and you just saw him and you're like, wow, that guy's undeniable, we have to have him, they would sign him. If Kenny Omega was a free agent right now, they would 100% sign him. I think what you're going to see with NXT, it's going to transition. You're going to have the veterans in there who are going to be working with the younger talent, the Candices, the Johnnies. They'll be the draw. And then you have the people below them that they're going to work, they'll move up. Some people, even some of those people might go up. But that's the thing. I think you're going to see it as you're going to transition to see newer characters come in. It'll be some of the greener people, but to carry the show, to keep the interest, you still will have a lot of the talents that, that you've come to know and love, or you've, like I said, Garganos and Champas and Thatcher, and who could be the player coaches, Candice, Io Shirai. Like, you'll see them, they'll still be the draws there. And then you'll have younger talent who's like the Ridge Hollands of the world, who are big dudes. They'll get brought up, and be put in feuds with these guys and then brought up. I think that's what you'll see. You always want to have that veteran presence within NXT, and you can't completely gut NXT and be like, well, guess what? We fired everyone, and it's now going to be a whole bunch of ex-football players and MMA fighters who are going to be the men's roster. You're not going to have that, because that would be suicide. So, and that would for that brand. So I think you're going to see them slowly thin it out over time. Maybe contracts aren't renewed. Maybe people move into a coaching position. Like, I could see that happen. Maybe NXT UK gets, melded with it. Who knows? Like, I just think you're going to see more of those guys. The John Cena, Randy Orton, Dave Bautista, Brock Lesnar types are going to be the people who are going to be coming at that. Parker Boudreaux and Bronson Rex-Steiner. Those are the dudes. Those are the next guys that are going to start positioning. And that's why I think
Stevenson. Gable Stevenson.
I think you're right. Going back to the chat real quick, guys. Billy asking, when do you believe Becky will make a return? I'll put a pick out there real quick.
The fall. It's been rumored and speculated she's making a return in October. But apparently it's also rumored she might be on camera for SummerSlam. Don't know in what position. Probably, I don't see that happening.
You got to go for the pop. You got to go for the crowd reaction on that one.
Give me Beth, Edge, Rollins, and Becky on TV.
Ooh, okay. I'm here for that.
Not a match, just a segment.
Oh, okay. Reese weighing in the conversation. Rob, they're being punished. Vince and several of his yes men and quotes have hated that NXT has consistently outshined the main roster for nearly a decade. Wow. Strong words. I mean, NXT's been my favorite for a while. I can kind of see what you're saying there a little bit. Reese not holding back, though, saying what he feels on that one. Let's take it around real quick. Who did I not get to? Just talking about what do you guys think the literal future of NXT. Bill just going into it saying we're going to have these big guys coming back. Mike, we'll throw it to you. And when do you think Becky's coming back too?
First of all, I don't know how many times I have to say this on your podcast. Can we just let Becky Lynch be a mom for like 5 seconds and not insist on her coming back? By the way, Kimmy, it was also rumored that Becky Lynch was going to return at the Royal Rumble. It was also rumored that Becky Lynch was going to return at WrestleMania. It was also rumored. Rumor. I know. Let Becky Lynch be a mom. She'll come back whenever she wants.
Let her live.
It's like the
let
Adele
her
song.
live. Let the woman live. That's what I say. I don't know when she's going to come back. I don't care when she comes back, because whenever she comes back, it's going to be amazing and it's going to be fantastic and we're all going to love it. By the way, Rob, I don't mean to call you out on this, but I think having Becky Lynch be a surprise pop is stupid. I think with the amount of people that love Becky Lynch and watch Becky Lynch, I would be advertising the hell out of that. I'm a marketing major. That's my background.
I was going to say, you're thinking, yep.
I'm thinking money, baby. And I'm thinking that we're going to have...
I'm calling you in the fall. Calling you in the fall.
That's fine. And she could come back in the fall. I'm just saying there's like this sense of immediacy that we seem to have with Becky Lynch, and I don't get that. As far as NXT goes, I think that they are going back to being a developmental territory. I think they are focusing more on big guys. It's not going to be a meat factory exclusive, but I think that they are going to be...
There'd be a lot of grade A sirloin in there.
There's a lot of prime beef in there.
More chops than a butcher fat. Or butcher shop.
I just want to see, like, if there's a whole bunch of big dudes in NXT in a year, that Big E just goes and there's like, he just gets on commentary, does his big beefy men slapping meat line, and then just walks away. Nice. And I'm like, that's all you needed to do, man. You're a god amongst men.
Big E is amazing. I love Big E.
Oh my God, he's a gift to us all.
This has nothing to do with anything, but I have to want to say Kevin Nash and Sabu have both been mentioned on this podcast, and shout out to Detroit, Michigan, where these wonderful talent come from. And I believe my home state does not get nearly enough love. for the incredible talent that's come out of this
Motor City Machine Guns, baby.
Motor City Machine
I
Guns.
definitely saw Chris Sabin at a Target in Edison. I totally did. I was like, Chris Sabin. And he like turned around. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing here?
Nice.
Yeah.
I just went like this. I'm like, and he's like, all right, you're a little.
You got it. Yeah. That's awesome. Like, that's cool. Yeah. I just wanted to say that out. I think developmental is the way to go, you know, and like what we brought up earlier. Yeah. They never embraced the third brand mentality. And again, we can say whether that was the right move or the wrong move, but they didn't do it, and they shouldn't have done it based on the way that they handled it, because it failed as a third brand. It failed to compete to AEW, and going back to treating it like a developmental territory, you can keep that separation between Raw and SmackDown and NXT. We don't talk about what happened in NXT because NXT is a developmental brand and it doesn't really have anything to do with what's going on up here. I know Kimmy said, yeah, we all watch it. Yeah, I think 90% of the people that watch NXT watch Raw or SmackDown, but you can't flip those numbers. There's an obvious disparity between NXT viewership and WWE viewership, it's Raw SmackDown viewership. So treating it like a developmental brand, I think, is the smartest way to go, because then you also don't have to try to incorporate that. And you can have things like have Karrion Kross lose to Jeff Hardy, go back to NXT. We're not going to make a big deal out of it. I don't think that Karrion Kross losing to Jeff Hardy hurts Karrion Kross on NXT. It hurts what you want to do with Karrion Kross on the main roster. But if you keep them as separate entities, you don't have to make that comparison, and you don't have to say, well, he did this on this brand and he's doing this over here. It doesn't really matter. And as far as repackaging people, Bill goes, I got like 6 notes and I just want to rapid fire them, and then I'm shutting up. As far as the, like, when you bring them in from other brands to WWE, and by the way, I'm not trying to be a WWE stan. I prefer AEW, but as far as that goes and what WWE's done for the longest time, again, go back to marketing. Coke doesn't talk about Pepsi, and they shouldn't. Pepsi can talk about Coke all they want all day long because they're number 2. Coke doesn't talk about Pepsi because they don't have to. And when you're Coke and you talk about Pepsi, all that does is make you look worse. So if you went somewhere else and you came here, I'm not talking about what you did over there, because I don't want to say what over there is. Over there doesn't exist. This exists. This is the only place that matters. So I don't fault WWE for doing that. That's marketing 101, baby.
Well, you know what? Coke doesn't buy any products from Pepsi, though. That's the thing. They're not taking Diet Pepsi from Pepsi. They're not taking Mountain Dew. So
are you telling me there's not going to be a Coke Clear?
Oh, wasn't there already? But that's the thing. So that I feel like you're also insulting your talents, your fan base's intelligence a bit. I don't think you have to laud the fact that, oh, this dude was from here. But if you're going to say, here comes this person, they're multi-time champion, they were here, just acknowledge it. You don't have to make it a big deal. AEW does it, other promotions do it. It just lends to the credence of the talent that you have. Now, if you're taking a dude and completely reinventing him, putting him under a mask, doing 100 things, you don't do that. Okay. You don't do that. You don't say Kane was Isaac Yankem DDS. You just don't do that. But I feel like if you're bringing in a wrestler like a Chris Benoit, like, for example, or a Chris Jericho, let's say it's a little easier to talk about Chris Jericho, you can put over the fact he's done something. You don't have to beat it into the ground, but when he's starting out, to give it some background so people know this is a player, this is a guy. We believe in him. Here's his credentials. Okay, good. Now we build him as our guy.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Of course, bro.
And why I understand what you're saying, but why I still disagree. Because let's say Chris Jericho comes over and he cuts that, promo on The Rock and they have that big moment. Mm-hmm. If we talk about how great Chris Jericho was in WCW and then he goes and beats The Rock, why am I not watching WCW? If we talk about why because clearly WCW talent's better if they can come in and beat WWF at the time. Mm-hmm. Let's flip it. We talk about how great Chris Jericho was, and then he comes over and then he gets squashed by The Rock. What does any of his prior accomplishments mean? All you said is this guy is great over there and he means nothing here. I think it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that's why you just simply don't bring it up, because why would you invite comparison when you don't need to? And to your point, I think it's only and they do this, but I think it's only insulting the intelligence of the wrestling community when you act like the person is an out of nowhere person, like when you almost talk that up. And the super deep cut, I think about Carlos Colon in the 1991 Royal Rumble, and Gorilla Monsoon calls him a youngster, and he was like 46 years old. Like, that's stupid to me. He's not a rookie. Look at him. The dude is fucking gray hair and sorry, Rob, has gray hair and wrinkles and all this stuff. That I agree with. Like, acting,
that's
like,
what I'm just saying. Like, you don't come out of nowhere, like a guy debuts or runs out of there, and you're just like, who is that guy?
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I'm like, you don't have to build up this guy's resume every time he's talking. Every time we talk about them. But yeah, I thought to your one point, and I forgot the one point I was gonna be like, I don't know about that, but
it's good conversation, guys, and you guys are going at it from all angles. I really appreciate that. But let's throw it to the goodest sister. I want to know what you think the landscape of NXT is going to look like going forward.
Well, first, Mike, did you know that Jericho Rock promo happened 22 years ago yesterday?
I didn't. Oh, I should have said I did, but no, I didn't. Good history. Good history, Kenny.
I saw it on my Twitter timeline, and I was like, wow, that's such a coincidence.
And Juventud was on Dynamite last week. So.
And Hoovy. Oh, I love Hoovy. Sorry.
So,
I could do a Hoovy cast. Let's go.
The one thing we didn't talk about was 205 Live and the small death of 205 Live. That is coming with this branding.
Great point.
Right? Because there's only, I believe, 5 people on the 205 roster right now, and one of them is Nigel McGuinness, who cannot wrestle. So you really only, I know, it's very sad. So you really only have 4 people within 205 Live. So
who's left?
Santos, I know.
Kushida and 2 other people.
Ikeman, Ojiro, the guy who wrestles in a jacket, and that that Australian guy, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know who's left, but it's not a lot.
205 dead.
205 is going to die.
That is like a drunk Bill joke at like 2 a.m. in bar. Like, more like 205 dead. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for channeling me there, pal.
So that's your first problem with the new branding. What the hell happens with 205 Live? Because you have a cruiserweight title. And this is the problem, like, with the Cruiserweight Classic. What came from it? All these people came into the Cruiserweight Classic, and you could argue the same thing with the Mae Young Classic, too. All these people came in. Where are half these people you use? Not within your company anymore, buddy. They're more successful elsewhere. So you need.
I could do a whole podcast on that whole fucking tournament.
Oh, me too.
No argument, though.
We should do it. Anyway, so there's your first problem, right? Your second problem is just how, I don't know where you go. I don't.
Yeah.
But I will say, no, I'm not done, Mr. Rob over there. Listen, not done. But I will say, I think that NXT in the beginning had a lot of steam. Obviously, the first live thing on the network was an NXT takeover, the first one they've ever done. NXT Arrival 2014, February 23rd.
No. I had some pop in my head to cover.
Cesaro and Sami Zayn was the opener.
So good.
Oh, that dive through the thing. Anyway.
Yes.
Are you like fact checking me over there, Rob? You're like,
no, I'm impressed as always.
Rob doesn't do any fact checking like a good podcast host.
Yeah,
I don't do it either. I'm just
so that's my thing, right? Like, NXT was the first thing they tested out on this new network. And here we are, 36 takeovers later. Yeah.
So I'm going to change my answer. NXT is going to be what NXT on Hulu was. That's essentially what it's going to become. If you remember what I was going to say. Well, fucking crap. Sorry. Go for it.
Okay. So I want to make the argument that NXT's move to the USA Network was the worst thing NXT could have done. That's the argument I'm going to make. And it's not even my word, because Izzy said the same thing to me in December. NXT moving to the USA Network made it more produced, made it more like Raw, which is why the viewership started dropping. Where you had it on the network, you could do whatever you wanted. You didn't have the commercials, you didn't have the time constraints. It was on your own network. The same thing on Hulu, I'm pretty sure, because that was before my time.
Well, Hulu, Jesus Christ, before your time. Hulu, basically what Hulu was basically you would have a couple of the names, but most of the time it would be like, okay, here's who we're pushing, and they're going to squash this person. So it would be like, okay, here comes Baron Corbin. He's going to squash this guy no one's ever heard of called
CJ
Enzo Amore.
Parker.
CJ Parker, the bump dummy. And like, they would have here's Charlotte Flair. She's going to squash this girl you never heard of. Her name is Alexa Bliss. That's what it would be. And I think that's what you're going to return to. And occasionally they would have someone from the main roster, or they'd have a name there to draw for the main event. But that's what it was on Hulu. It was an hour of here's the developmental talent, here's people we're working out. And every once in a while, you get a Seth Rollins Big E match, which was a wild main event. If you ever go back to that match where Big E wins the title, it's great. And they have the Shield come out and everything. It's awesome. But it's like, yeah, so that's what it's going to be, I think. It's going to go back to that. And that was still a good TV show.
I watched it.
Yeah, it's a shame, though.
I wouldn't mind
Please.
NXT going to Peacock.
Yeah.
I would not mind NXT going back to Peacock.
I get what you're saying, though, kind of like how it was when it was only on the network. Like, obviously, if I remember correctly how it came about, AEW was announced for Wednesday nights. Oh, NXT is going to be on Wednesday nights, and then it was like the Wednesday Night Wars kind of thing, and it's just like, it wasn't organic, it was forced, it was, change this, change that, we're on TV, like, we're celebrating NXT now instead of it being like the cool underground thing.
Well, I mean, I'll go back to the WWE 24 where Sasha quoted it too, when they were like the whole WWE 24 for TakeOver Brooklyn, where Sasha was like, yeah, NXT was like this underground thing that you weren't supposed to know about, but you knew about, so you were considered cool. And then everyone got to know about it, which is why it was so big. And then WWE was like, we need to turn this into a WWE thing, not so much like an indie thing, because that's what NXT was. It had the whole indie feel, which is why even when my roommates watch AEW, they're like, what the hell is this? They don't like the dark and grungy stuff because they're so used to watching Raw. So they're like, what? And I go, no, this is the better produced. And they're like, no, it's not. And but that's the problem.
Well,
and there's my beautiful
I'll call it down the middle. WWE has phenomenal product. I mean, I love the new stage. I love, the cameras are great. As I'm learning more and more, it's great. Wow. Well, I could have a whole conversation about that.
Hold your breath on that.
Papa's so cool, weighing in on the chat here and touching on what we were just talking about.
The OG.
That's right, man.
Papa's we should have him on the podcast.
Yes.
You have to have him like
Can
on the
we do that,
WrestleMania podcast.
Yes. He says
I'll talk to my people.
Oh, wow, really?
Tell him.
There is a USA Network angle to this as well. If NXT goes back into developmental, not sure if they'll stay on USA, which we just got into. Very, very fair point. It's interesting. It's really sad that WWE's never really fully embraced NXT and kind of use it to compete AEW instead of letting it be organic. But I think Triple H and Shawn Michaels have done a fantastic job with the product and bringing in up-and-coming talent, bringing in young talent. I don't care about their height. Some really great long-term storytelling. I go back to Gargano Ciampa all the time. So really just great feuds. Takeovers were always, not to say they won't be, but were always just really exciting and outshined a lot of the main roster pay-per-views. But again, didn't have to be a competition. Everyone could have really embraced and built bridges and sold more merch, and it seemed petty at times, and all this damage control coming out is really a head scratcher to me. But I'll try to be positive, like I always say here. I'm a little nervous for the future of NXT, but let's get that shameless promo out of the way before we get out of here. And real quick, we'll also answer the question. We'll do a quick rapid fire and get your shameless promo in as well. Billy, weighing in, what's your take on Goldberg versus Bobby for the title? I'll just short and sweet say, I don't hate it. Like everyone hate it. I wasn't thrilled with it, but we wanted Brock Lashley for the longest time. I thought that would have been the match you wanted, but it's a dream match, but not now. So it's interesting. I don't hate it. I didn't expect Goldberg to come back, but I think we all know Goldberg's putting Lashley over here, and maybe he doesn't, but I don't know. I mean, who else does Lashley fight? I thought Brock was the money, but who knows what's going on with that whole thing. But let's throw it to the goodest sister. What do you think about Goldberg coming back and the shameless promo, of course?
Oh, yeah. Let's start with the person with the longest list first. Good job. So, Goldberg Lashley. So I'm going to save my whole theory for our SummerSlam panel.
What a professional. She knows how to build to the next episode.
But I will say that the biggest problem with Raw right now is they're not building anyone for Lashley, which is why you had to bring back Goldberg or Brock Lesnar. So that's a whole other issue to itself that I could also sit here for an hour and discuss the problems of Monday Night Raw, which I would not mind also doing either. I mean, 11 o'clock roundtables are a great thing. Anyway, for me.
Nice.
Hi. So, I have so much. Okay, so let's talk about Ring of
Pick
Honor Women's
3.
Division.
No, I'm just kidding.
You said that the last time, and I yelled at you. So let's just talk
I'm
about
used to it.
Let's just talk about Ring of Honor. So I say we every time, and then Bill's like, "Why do you say we?"
You ain't signed yet, kid. Come on.
2023. So we're crowning a new champion. Every Monday you can watch on Ring of Honor TV. They have the little link on their Twitter that you can tune into, and you can see 2 matches from the tournament. We have 7 of the first in the final 8. My bracket's already busted. It was busted within the first match, and I'm really upset. But September 21st at Death Before Dishonor, we're crowning our new champion. Who do you think is going to be in the finals and all that fun stuff? And, Maria worked really hard on this tournament, and I'm really proud. So please watch it. And I covered a lot of stuff on the popbreak.com about it. I write articles there. I covered the Cody Rhodes media call, which was super fun. And thank you so much for letting me do that and make me leave camp early. That was the joy of my day. What else? I wrote Ring of Honor articles on there. I wrote a Friends reunion on there. I wrote about where I thought some of the releases were gonna go. So check all that stuff out on the popbreak.com that Bill writes on. You could see me here.
I own it.
I know that too. I was gonna let you do that. You could see me here predicting pay-per-views and ranting about WWE and feuding with either Kyle or Mike, depending on which one you're tuning into. But I didn't fight with you too much today, so you should be really happy.
Love
right,
it.
Mike? No.
Right. Yes. It was,
You guys
we were
friendly.
fine.
You're
Yes.
friendly.
We were.
But talking about our other best friend to round out the trio is Kyle. So you can see me on a No Holds Barred Network reviewing Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I know I'm really behind with videos. Camp has been crazy and my mind has been all over the place. But I'm going to be doing some of that soon. So don't worry about it. I have been watching. I have my own opinion on this SummerSlam pay-per-view we've got coming up next week. Think yeah, it's next Sunday. It's next Saturday.
Wow.
And let's see, the virtual stuff. Rhino's on Saturday. No, it's the 20th. Next Saturday.
Today's the 10th.
Yeah, my birthday's in 5 days.
Happy birthday, Kimmy.
Happy birthday, Kimmy. I think we're hung up on semantics. It doesn't matter. It's the 21st.
I'm turning 20. No, it's not. It's on a Saturday.
20 year. Oh my gosh, she's no longer a teenager. There you go. Our little kid's all grown up.
Aw.
Plug your virtual signings.
Yeah, who's putting you over next time? Chrissy Hemme put you over last time.
Oh yeah, Chrissy Hemme really did put me over. Jesus. I think it's just Rhino. Quinn McKay is at some point. Sunny Kiss. Lana, October 2nd. I'm so excited for Lana. Lana, October 2nd. And make sure to check out Legends of the Ring because the tickets for Lana went on sale. So make sure to check that out. And there's a bunch of other superstars there. I'll be there. Don't know who I'm working with. Aubrey Edwards is going to be there. Allie's going to be there. A bunch of AEW superstars are going to be there. So go check it out. And I think that's it for me. And yeah, thanks for the early happy birthday wishes. 5 days.
I see happy birthday to Kimmy in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Kimmy, keep killing it. And like you said, Lana's the best. Lana #1. Let's throw it to Mike real quick. Your thoughts on Goldberg coming back, taking on Lashley. And of course, the shameless promo. Mike's doing some great stuff. I like the lists, bro. Just like Jericho.
Thanks, man. I got good lists. Whatever. Goldberg coming back is whatever. I do want to say, though, that we all know that Bobby Lashley is going to beat Goldberg in the same way that we all know that we all knew that The Fiend was going to beat Goldberg. So let's pump the brakes on we all know Goldberg's going to lose because he doesn't lose a lot when he comes back. He lost to Drew. I'll give you my official opinion on the SummerSlam panel, which hopefully I will be back for. So you can see me make some accurate predictions, unlike Kimmy, who makes some very lovely predictions.
Shots fired.
Accuracy, not so much. Facebook and Twitter @ClosetChamp. I've been on a long vacation, but I am back. You can check out my most recent podcast where I talked about why SummerSlam is the worst of the 4 major pay-per-views. I'm not a big negative guy, but that's a fantastic podcast. I'm really proud of that one. Other than that, I'm just floating around that internet wrestling community and hanging out and doing some wonderful things with Bob Culture and all that good stuff. Check me out here. Check me out Facebook, Twitter @ClosetChamp, Closet Champion Podcast, streaming anywhere you stream podcasts, man. It's all over the place.
Great. It's a great show, guys. Leave him a positive review. He's doing great stuff.
Please do. I need reviews. Thank you.
It's key. He's doing great stuff. And let's throw it over to #DadInstincts, lay editor-in-chief of the popbreak.com, the good brother, Mr. Bill Bodkin.
Oh, Bill Goldberg. It's whatever, dude.
Oh, I was
It's
feeling a rant coming on.
why rant when it's just about as boring can get. I mean, like it's perfect. It's perfectly fine. Goldberg's going to come out like a retired police officer who's going to his first MMA session. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, if he wins that title, it'll those Goldberg chants. I mean, it might they might pop the crowd. I don't know. I don't make good WWE predictions. I just have how I would book it, and it's always wrong. So my prediction would be Bobby wins. You get the superstar shuffle, the draft, or whatever, and Big E goes over there, and you get Big E and Lashley. Then you get your big beefy men slapping beef, sirloin sons of bitch brawl. That's what you get. That's what I want to see, because those promos between MVP and Big E and Bobby, that's gold, man. That's money right there. Also, why the fuck did you break up the Hurt Business? It was great. Regardless. So yeah, I think Bobby Lashley wins. Do I know Bobby Lashley is going to win? I mean, what do I really know? And when it comes to WWE. So, but if you must follow me and my horrible takes on WWE, but my fairly accurate takes on AEW, you should follow me at Bodkin Writes, WRITES, where I'm usually talking about, like I said, wrestling, or talking about thepopbreak.com, the site I've been running since 2009, celebrating our 12-year anniversary at the end of September. Follow us on Twitter at the Pop Break, on Instagram at the Pop Break. We are shooting concerts again very safely and securely. And we are also on Facebook /popbreak.com, all spelled out. I am the co-host of the Socially Distanced podcast, which drops every single Thursday on Spotify, Apple, Google, and Anchor podcasts. We are currently going to be reviewing the Suicide Squad for the episode dropping on Friday. And other than that, I'm also, check out a whole bunch of Pop Break stuff on our podcast tab. We have like a slew of podcasts. I host a wrestling podcast, which I have to start recording again, called This Wrestling Life, where we talk about our wrestling fandom and underrated wrestlers that we want to herald and champion. So that's me. And if I have anything to say, go watch Rampage this Friday on TNT.
Wow,
there
Trying to get that
it is.
AEW check. Come on.
There it is. I love it.
Because if Adam Cole shows up on Rampage in Pittsburgh, I will shit my pants.
Oh boy, that's
No, I might. I really might.
But I will say, I think this Friday might be a little iconic.
Oh,
Brother.
really? Coming from Kimmy, I trust that because Kimmy knows people. We'll
Got
see.
the scoop.
Kimmy talks wrestling, so I gotta.
She does talk
Yeah,
wrestling. That's
so-
right. Real quick before we get out of here, someone asking, will tickets be available at the event? I'm guessing that's for Legends. Will tickets be available at the door? Do
It's
you
like
know?
5 minutes from my house.
Then you should come.
I'm hanging out.
Um,
I'm
How the
hanging out.
pandemic's going.
It's the day before my birthday. I'm hanging out with Bill, and then I'm coming over.
What day is it again?
October 2nd.
October, that's Saturday, so 2nd.
Oh,
So
I cannot make that. Never mind. I'm at a wedding.
So if I were to assume, I would try to do it ahead of time just because we are in a new hotel, so I really don't know how everything's going to work out. So if you must, please pre-order your tickets. I know the super ticket might be selling out soon. So if you're looking at the men's or women's super ticket, I would buy them immediately. And I know with Lana too, I would definitely buy those tickets as soon as possible as well.
He who hesitates is lost. Don't hesitate on buying tickets ever.
Love it.
Yeah.
You snooze, you lose. That's I live my life by. Reese, awesome show. I'm sharing this to my sports page. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, guys. The Bob Culture Podcast across all podcast platforms or on YouTube. The Bob Culture Podcast. Leave us a review on Apple Music. It's not iTunes anymore. And guys, let's get out of here. Like we always say here on the BCP, everyone stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other. We out.